In this video, you will see how to create an event frame template, hook up some attributes to pick up data from a referenced element, and then we'll set up a new interface instance and create the event frames. What I have here is a database which has some pumps and some attributes. I will now go to the library and under event frame templates, right click and do new template, and we will name it. So I will name it as a pump on template, and now we will add some attributes so that when the event frames are generated we'll see some values. So we right click, add a new attribute. I will add flow rate, and then change units of measure to volume rate units and to gallons per minute. Then the data reference will be a pi data reference. And now we will go ahead and set up. What you want to do now is click the attribute, and here with the special syntax is a dot backslash elements square brackets dot square brackets. That will point to the referenced element, whatever the template is referencing. And then you put an upper bar, a vertical bar, and then flow rate is the attribute name they'll be picking up from the referenced element. We also want to get the average. Press OK. We'll also want to do a variation of the flow rate over the event frame time frame. So we'll go ahead and add that. Again, make sure you change the units to volume rate units and GPM. And for the data reference, it will be a pi point data reference. But in this case, we can just point the attribute to an existing one, and that's the flow rate we just created. And for the time range, we'll add standard deviation. That'll be the variation. And the last one we'll add is just to see the duration of the event so that we don't have to do any calculations. To do that, change the units of measure to time seconds, and then the data reference will be pi point. Again, click the attribute and point to the flow rate. That will be picking up the value, the pi tag name. Change the by time to not supported, and then count for the time range. This will automatically create a value for the event frame based on the start and end of the event. Okay, now we've created it. We'll go ahead and check the information in, and we'll open up the interface manager for the Pi EFGen, and we will create a new instance. Previously, in previous videos, we have created already one instance called Pi EFGen 1. We will now create a new one to show you that. So we will add a new interface. Change the service ID now to 2. Point to the EFGen directory under PyPC interfaces and select the Pi EFGen exe. And the last thing we have to do is go to operational settings and change the interface ID to 2. Also make sure that we have real-time set for the operations. Now this will create 2 files. Those are not existing, as you can see, but that's okay. We will not do anything with those. We'll let the system create them. Now we need to point to the Pi server and to the event frame or the AF database. So I'll connect. My database is called creating totalizers, so I point to that. And then we go to the save settings and say save. Notice now that both the file selection and the server information now is all correct and everything has been created for us. The last thing we have to do is create the event frame structure. So we'll go ahead and add a new event frame. In this case, I'll just name it pump on or pump status. The event frame template will point to the one that we just created, so that's the pump on template. I will create the behavior as a pulse. In this case, just use a static value, so that I'll just call it pump 101 on. And the last thing we have to do in this page is to do the tags. And I already have preset digital state tag called pump p-101.status, which will tell me periodically the pump goes on or off. So that's what the digital state says, on or off. In the other settings, we'll set the recovery time, so that way it'll recover events back about a day. And then evaluation delay, I'll just put in 10 seconds to wait for events coming in. The very last thing which needs to be done now is to add an element that will be referenced. So I will just add pump 101. We can go ahead and save the settings, and then we'll create the service configuration by adding the new service and starting it. Now the system is going back and recovering back a day any events that may happen to pump 101. So if we go to the System Explorer and create a new search and go ahead and change the search by time range, and we'll go from search end at start to search start at -30 days. And as you see now, these are all the different pump on events that have happened over the last day previous to the starting of the interface.